grade 5. I was like, oh no. And like Theo was exciting about all their so but luckily I was able to.
Alright, let's go ahead and get started. If you will take your seats, close computers, halfway for now, we'll be using them in just a few minutes. But I will let you know when it is time to. Did I need a computer? Not it. Okay, great. You will later, but you don't need it. Thank you. So just 3 things real quick on our what we're doing today is just talk a little bit about why. We haven't really ever had a math investment meeting like this before, so I wanted to give some context why we're going this approach this time. Some logistical planning, and then the last 20 minutes will be some investment planning time with your grade level teams to be able to share out and get some good ideas and some suggestions. So we've typically kind of just done our thing with math in the past and just let the excitement for the kids kind of roll. And we decided to take like a more intentional approach in leveraging the greatness that you guys provide to make it happen. There's a couple reasons for that. The data part of the math data is really important. Our labs, our pull-out groups, all of that is dependent on the data and what we get out of math testing. So it's really important that that data is authentic as possible so that we can make the right decisions about where kids should be throughout the course of second semester. Obviously, we want to pulse check on where our kids are growing academically. This is like one of my favorite Harriet Wall quotes. It's like if they didn't learn it, like either you didn't teach it or you didn't teach it right. And so we need to get that progress check on us as teachers and whether or not kids actually learned it. Obviously, it's really important to celebrate students and kids get to see their growth. And then last but not least is this actually counts as part of our teacher performance. It counts as part of your mid-year evaluation. And for our SPED team, it counts as like a really significant chunk in their metrics as teachers. So all of that's like the least important in my mind, but it's still obviously important that we have real data, an authentic test, and an authentic experience for kids. So those are some of the reasons that we are, again, taking a more like formal approach and how we're going to approach math data or winter math testing. Just a couple logistical things to get out of the way. I want to just speak briefly to testing dates, talk about the morning of testing and expectations for teachers, talk to you a little bit about grade level flexibility, and then a little bit on computers. So first, we had some concerns brought up around the original testing days and having a sufficient amount of time. We had math, reading on Tuesday, math on Wednesday, and then makeups on Thursday and Friday. We had originally tried to not do Monday's math testing because of absences and just getting into the groove of things. But I think that if we send out like significant letters on Friday to parents, if we really boost up the investment for kids, then we won't encounter so many attendance issues on Monday that justify enough of it being moved, pushed back a day. However, that would impact you all, and so I want to take a vote to see your preference. My suggestion would be to move math testing so that either ELA or math is on Monday, and then the other one is on Tuesday. And either way, that impacts you all because if you have your lesson plans and your unit plans up to the day you originally planned, I don't want to throw anyone off significantly. So my first ask, is there anyone that is opposed to moving it to math testing days being Monday and Tuesday? Either subject doesn't matter, but we could, but then that again pushes back our makeup testing, which we actually have to cut off. We're supposed to cut off by Monday at the very latest. So that's the only problem with that.
Isn't there more flexibility on, like, Wednesday could still be a makeup day. If you were willing to have math on Wednesday, then why can't makeup for ELA be on that day?
That would be the plan. So it'd be Monday testing, Tuesday testing, and then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So it'd be 3 days of makeups.
No, I was saying to Joe's point, Thursday, so Tuesday ELA, Wednesday ELA makeups, math.
That would be the plan,
Thursday.
but then that only gives us 1 day of math makeups, which is what I found through the first round of makeup testing, which we'll speak a little bit to like grade level flexibility. It gives it a tight window. Like usually makeups have taken like, if not 3 days, then like trickling on to 4. And because the following week we run into interims, I was told like we have to cut off by Monday so that we don't run into interim testing at all the following week.
Monday is fine.
Is there, like, my math people, would you be opposed to having it Monday? My suggestion would be math on Monday because the math makeup is slightly easier to facilitate than the reading one. It is a shorter test. So that way I could do that on Wednesday and then Thursday, so it'd be 3 days. So math will be on Monday, ELA math will be on Tuesday. Cool. Thank you. Morning of testing, just make sure to be there. I'll send you an invite, but just 15 minutes early at like 6:45. That way I can just make sure to set up your testing window, see if you have any questions around troubleshooting. Grade level flexibility, so something that we ran into last testing that if you don't communicate on the front end can happen, is that obviously there's kids that don't finish by the time that your grade level is done or by the time your class is done. And what then that created was a long, long list of makeups that had like, I have 3 questions to finish, or I have 10 questions. So we had like over 75 kids that had to make up math testing last time, and again, that's why it like took so long. So whatever makes sense for you as a team, I'm gonna ask that you again just communicate that to your team. So a lot of times we've had like the off teacher pull a group of kids, have them sit in the off teacher's room, finish testing there, or move half of the class and wait till the other class. Like there's lots of ways to make that work. Just plan on talking about that in grade level meetings on Wednesday so that your team is prepared for whatever you guys need to do to be flexible. The priority should be on Monday and Tuesday that kids finish testing. If like they're there, they should test and finish testing and not have to go on to makeups. The only exception is the last period class. If you teach a last period class, ELA teachers, the only group that impacts. That's the only class like you would obviously have to cut off because it's the end of the day. But for any other reason, like you should work as a team to make sure that testing finishes within that block of time. If it carries over, find a way to make that work. If you are like stuck on how to make that work, ask me. We've done it in the past. I just want to make sure that that messaging is consistent for all the teams. Last but not least, Andy put in a plug about computers. In Crib Notes, I'm going to send a reminder again to teachers on Thursday and Friday this week, and then we'll announce all next week. Like, teachers should not be using computers in their classes as much as possible. Not only from a capacity issue to make sure that you guys have enough computers for testing that day, but also a bandwidth issue. If people are on programs, it takes up bandwidth, and it's going to slow down the testing system. So we'll continue to message to your team, like, don't use computers, don't use computers. Obviously, there may be a case here or there that teachers do need to use computers, but you should at least have like 2 carts in your room on testing day. So wherever you want to get that from, whoever you want to coordinate that from on your grade level, you should just assume that if you have 2 carts, you should have plenty of computers to have the constant flow of like kids that continue testing beyond the testing time and need more computers that don't work, and things like that. Any questions on testing dates, morning of, grade level flexibility, or on computers? Cool, that's easy. All right, so around investment, again, there's just a couple of like mantras or things that we want to prioritize here. Like obviously the juice is worth the squeeze, making sure that whatever you plan on doing is worth the time that you're putting into it, that it's visible and in the moment, and so kids have actually something immediately to feel successful and excited about, and then it's collectively communicated across your grade and across your school. We're in like kind of a unique situation where for the first time, we have teachers that teach across all grade levels. Our SPED team and our intervention team teaches across all grade levels, and they're also really invested in kids and being successful in that. So they're gonna get all the plans that you guys create around investment, but again, we wanna make sure that like what they're investing in their classroom is correlated to what you guys have talked about and are investing in your kids as on your grade level. The most successful, like, we have some suggestions around what's happened with the most successful investment systems, and I'm also gonna have some people share it in case there's other ideas that I might be missing. But like this really makes, the investment plan makes a huge difference in the level of kids' investment in winter testing, especially when it's back to back with interim testing. So there's like some really cool opportunities to leverage the investment piece here.
Would it make sense, instead of doing it, but, you know, for the kids who are pulled to be tested in a smaller setting while they're being pulled, as opposed to being tested in a large setting with the whole?
I think that's a really good idea.
I'm gonna write that down. My only, I'll have to, Sarah's gonna come after late dismissal, so she might be able to answer that question before we head out. The only thing I can think of getting in the way is that SPED is simultaneously doing FMP testing during their time, so that like basically all kids have to be tested between now and the end of the quarter as well. So as long as those 2 things can happen, I think that that's fine, but I'll have that search. So good, great suggestion. Cool. All right, if you want to, at this time, go ahead and open up your computers. If you don't, you can just share one. I'm gonna send you, I sent an email earlier that had some suggestions and things around ideas that we've done before in the school. And then I'm gonna actually email you one more with the investment plan that I'm gonna have you guys fill out right now with your teammate. Okay, in the second email, I had made hard copies and then I could not find them, so I'm going to show you. In the second email I just sent you, if you'll open it up, there is an example winter investment plan that I will show you right now.
And what you just sent us now, or the email?
In the one I just sent now is this. So this is what you're going to be filling out. Again, we should be out of here way before 5:15, but my plan was giving you guys 20 minutes to go ahead and work on this with your grade level team so that you have an awesome plan to roll out starting next week. And this template is, again, for your just kind of the way that I thought through the questions so that you could come up with your plan. And then I also came up with an example that 5th grade used last year that was really successful. You're right, there's some tweaks here that I had to make, so if I'm wrong, just tell me I'm wrong. So just like these questions on the side, obviously what's your investment title or theme? For example, last year 5th grade did Math Olympics. I think Joe and I did that in 6th grade a couple of years ago as well. How will you connect this theme to the math test, and how will you build intrinsic motivation? So here's just a blurb of messaging to kids. In the Real Olympics, athletes that perform are at the top of their game. They are at the most competitive level after having worked really hard to become the best in their sport. In math and reading, we want to be at the top of our game. We've worked really hard the first half of the year to grow our brains and be at the most competitive level. During the Math Olympics, we'll have the chance to compete and demonstrate our strengths in reading and math just like Olympians. So just a little blurb of how are you going to message to kids. How will you track visually? Here's just 3 different suggestions of tracking. Growth, there will be a poster in the hallway with the Olympic rings and the winner podium. Students will earn a medal and we'll put it in the correct spot on the poster. For top 10 scores, the top 10 students scoring both reading and math will be world record portion of the board in the hallway. 75th percentile. Students that fall into this category will have a special section in the hallway for the Hall of Fame. So this is again just making it visible for the kids that met these 3 different buckets. What can kids earn for reading? Their high goal, a gold medal with their name, a cookie, an Olympic party after school where they watch the Gabby Douglas story, right? So again, all building it into the theme. What does kids earn for meeting their local, a silver medal with their name, and then last, who needs to do what and by when? And I used my 2 favorite Disney characters, Tigger and Winnie the Pooh. So it just basically lists out Tigger's gonna buy the cookies, and Winnie's gonna make the posters, and we're gonna cut out the Olympic rings, and I just listed out all the different things, right? So we have pictures that I can send to you as well of the different Olympic boards. In the first email I sent you, there's another example of one that Joe and I used a couple years ago around a treasure chest and a gold medal, or it was treasure chest and coins. It was pretty cool, right? Yeah. Joe was really excited about it. So it was the same idea, where kids could get a gold coin. The top 10 scores had rubies, and I literally cut out the rubies and we write their name on it and put it up on the board in the hallway. And again, it was just something that got kids excited about the visual part and the visual anchor of seeing their names in the hallway and seeing their names be successful. Last year we did a movie theme one where kids could win Oscars, and they had an Oscar party at the end where they got to watch a movie. We had a rock star party once where kids were rock stars and they got to write their name on guitars. We've done, am I missing any suggestions on things that I might have been missing? I mean, we've done a rock star party, we've done a movie star party. They did a circus theme last year in 5th grade where it was a big circus, right? Yara, was that for?
Spring, yeah. That was in the spring.
Oh, that was in the spring, yeah.
We did a Lego one a couple years ago.
Lego one, yeah. Oh, I know there was a Mario game one too. Someone did one with Mario game and coins. So the sky's the limit in terms of things. You guys are way more creative than I am for sure. And so our hope is to give you guys the time and space right now to come up with a plan. Don't feel obligated to do something completely new, especially if you have a newer group of kids that maybe you've never done it. The 8th graders, not that they would want the Olympic party, but I don't think our 8th graders, most of them did it. There's such a few group of kids that were here in 5th grade that would. And also, again, it's just about the level of excitement that you guys build into it. So you can repeat an idea, you can come up with some completely new. A couple things just to know. Actually, we'll put this back up. Wrong way? I'm really bad at this double screen thing. It should be showing, but it's not. Just a couple things. Each grade level has a $25 budget. We are very short on money, so I apologize, but $25. You want to buy some cookies or Skittles or whatever, but I had to beg for $25 from this. I was please. So not a lot, but again, that's why I kind of put the idea idea of the movie party in there because you really don't have to spend money on that. The kids are still feeling excited about earning something. Submit plans by Wednesday, so you're gonna have the next 20 minutes to work on this, which should be able to be finished by then. If for whatever reason you don't, go ahead and assign someone to finish it up and just send it to me by Wednesday. And then the visible portion needs to be up by the first day of testing. So since we settled that being Monday, whatever it is that gets done by day 1 that needs to be up and visible. It doesn't have to be in the hallway. If you want to do it in your individual classrooms, you can. But again, around that mantra of like consistency, it's going to be really tricky if we have 8 different systems, like a math system in 6th grade, a math system in 7th grade, so that's why ideally it would be in the common space. But if you want to do it in your individual classrooms and just have the same thing, like Joe didn't like sharing boards with me, so I would like make him a treasure poster and put it up in his room, and then I would have my own treasure poster.
And my kids were walking out into the hallway with something on the board.
That's why he wouldn't let them. So, but either way, again, as long as you guys decide together and then like divide and conquer. So what can you guys collaboratively do to spread the work and spread the labor? And then the last thing before I release you guys to work time with your grade levels was, I actually feel logged in, so he reminded me. Something I know that 5th grade did a really great job of with last year with the math Olympics is they tied interim testing as well into the math testing. So they kind of like did 2 for 1 and continued that on over the course of 2 weeks. You're also welcome to have that same consistent messaging if you want to leverage those 2 together. If you want to think of them in isolation, you can, or if you want to put them together, you can. Either way, it's up to you, but the number 1 thing for next week is to make sure whatever investment you do around math is up and running by Monday. So, yes.
I didn't have it before I got in, but are we still doing the whole school, like, trackers and gene classes and cookies?
Great question. So I will have the trackers for you ready to go the way we always have that just say the scores and the percentiles. So that I'm going to take off on there's any incentives or prizes, knowing that that's up to you.
Okay.
If you guys want to do a gene pass, you can. Like that can be a part of one of your earned things for sure.
So it's up to each grade?
It's up to each grade level. Yeah. And so as long as that's why you're going to submit the plan to me. That way as a school we know like what is being communicated everywhere. If it is gene passes, then we know like 5th grade has gene passes. If it's not gene passes, then 5th grade doesn't have gene passes. So yeah, that's definitely one of your options that you want to include.
Is the sheet still gonna be pretty?
If
Like
yes,
decorative,
like the one that we made last time, not the one. Are you
it
telling me you
shouldn't
don't
have
want
a
the one?
cookie on it, cause you can't get it.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna take off all the
But will it
investment
still
pieces to make it pretty.
Attractive.
Yes,
That's important, cause I'm not throwing it.
I will make it pretty without the coins and all those
But
things.
do we still collect them, right?
Yes.
So they just write their score down and then we collect them?
Yes. But yes, I will make them pretty even without the cookies.
If they're all steered down, they're gonna feel like, oh, shit, this is different.
Yeah, no, I will keep it up there, I promise. So. I thought you were saying that they were pretty and you wanted to make your own, which is also fine. If you want to make your own tracker sheet, you can totally make your own tracker sheet.
I don't, nobody can think I say that.
Yes, I will still make the tracker sheets and have them ready to go. Are there any questions before you guys get a chance to work with your partners and grade levels? And then Ed and Aaron, if you'll just float around, obviously, and like give suggestions and ideas and check in. And then I know in every single grade level, we have at least 1 returning content teacher. So obviously, thank you for leveraging your leadership and saying, this is what we did last year that worked really well, or this is what we didn't do that we would like to have done. So that you guys can come up with a great plan. Cool. If you want a hard copy, I can print out a hard copy right now. Does anyone want a hard copy of that investment?
I did not get that.
The second one? Yep. I will send. Is there anyone that didn't get this second sheet that I was just working on? Except for Kelsey? Okay, I will resend it to Kelsey again. Alright, I will stop talking. I will check back in at 4:10. It is right now 4:52. And if you will huddle up with your teams.
So you're gonna keep me here till 14?
Oh, sorry. 5:10? 5:10. Yes, go ahead. Alright, Kelsey.
So they said be lit, leaders, they're invested in their activities, so you can hear it.
And again, there's lots of resources in that first email around letters for students, for parents, for all that stuff. PowerPoints.
Yeah, you know, like whatever, like fire, or whatever, like all those things.
I was honestly thinking about what we already had on the wall.
Not that it's super cool, but if you want to do that one. Sure, I will have you put up and There are battle ones, so we can make.
And I'm also like, I'm already tracking in my classroom, I have like a, coordinate planning that I'm doing it on, but I'm done with it. Like this part, so do you want to put that? What did you guys do last week?
It was all in, it was in classes.
What I was work on you? I just because I got the training.
That was the greatest day of my life.
I
Was
was
watching you.
I need music for this class. I want like lights and throws.
It's so awesome watching you.
Sounds like I'm there's like cutting out.
And the kids are like, I'm going to. Can you forward that to me? We're gonna talk
We're not coming to
You're making this sound like pretty like
coming at this with a flyer.
We're gonna have kids do.
Do you want to go?
It's 2 hours. It's take 2 hours because we're gonna have kids do.
So they can get, yeah, like, literally, I think about everything they're all like,
Hey,
that's
coach
perfect.
teacher.
Yes,
Okay, coach teacher.
like, if you're
I need to run some by you. With who?
So I think,
You can roll. You can roll up to your logo